All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today we have company SurvTech Solutions from Tampa, Florida. Unfortunately, because of the huge demand for their services, they had to postpone it to or change it to a virtual session. Their first visit here at Troy. Their next visit is going to be in person. Okay. And then we would like to know what you do in terms of the job, in terms of the types of jobs, the equipment you use, the software, job opportunities for summer interns, and as well as students who are about to graduate. Thank you again. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, I'm Dave O'Brien, president of SurvTech Solutions, and I have with me Carlos. Carlos, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Carlos Prieto. I'm work out of Mobile, Alabama, so I'm fairly familiar with your program there. I manage the airborne imaging department, and I've been with SurvTech for the last 6 years or so. We're all available for questions later on.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. So, you guys, first thing I want to say is I want to apologize. It's really not so much SurvTech as it is my schedule. It's become incredibly busy. So next time I'd rather have it in person. I'd like to look you students in the eye and give you a lot of information on what you're going to expect out there in the real world. I will warn you, I talk fast. And as you can guess, I'm not a native of Alabama or Florida. I'm originally a UMaine graduate. So I have a very strong New England accent. So when I took my exam in Alabama, because I'm licensed in a bunch of states, I had to say everything 3 times when I went out to dinner the night before. So if you don't understand something I say, don't feel bad about asking a question. So I really liked your professor's introduction because SurvTech does a ton of cool things. In fact, I would think we're one of the leaders in the entire country when it comes to geospatial products. So let's go ahead and jump into it a little bit. Jump to the next slide. All right, so this is kind of just a slide that breaks down everything we do. And so, we try to encapsulate that in that image there, but we map everything above ground. We started as a land surveying company in 2004 with just 2 of us. And then we map everything underwater, everything from the air, mobilely from vehicles, boats, ATVs. So we have aerial lidar in airplanes, in drones. We have remote control boats, we have one-man boats, and we do a multi-beam, single beam, sub-bottom, and so forth. So if you look at our services, we do pretty much everything, even the little oddballs here that I'll touch on. I don't know if any of you know what metrology is, and most of you are probably thinking I said meteorology. We're not predicting the weather. We're actually measuring things to 1/10,000th of an inch. It's really cool. We've worked on the space program a lot, laying out the launch facilities for Blue Origin and so forth. So a lot of cool stuff we're doing there. And then obviously I said we do mobile and terrestrial scanning, and we do that at a couple different venues, which we'll touch on. Sinkhole mapping, geophysics. So we map stuff underground. We do utilities as well, but we map a lot of anomalies, sinkholes, or contamination and so forth using different technologies. And then we do a lot of GIS as well. And this is where we kind of break it down. Obviously, you all know what land surveying is. A lot of people think that's boring nowadays, but I'm a land surveyor licensed in 11 states, so it still pays a lot of my bills, if you believe that. And then we have an airplane that flies out of Atlanta right now, but it's going to be moving to Huntsville. We actually are upgrading to a bigger plane, nicer plane, and then do a ton of underwater mapping. That's one of our more innovative boats. That's a one-man multi-beam and LiDAR boat. So one man can do multi-beam LiDAR. We can put single beam on it as well, but we run a lot of multi-beam on that boat. And it's like a cross between a jet ski and a pontoon boat. So, and then we do subsurface utilities and so forth. And I think most of you know about that, but that's using ground penetrating radar, GPR, electromagnetic induction, and then vacuum excavation to actually put eyes on a pipe or a utility. I always touch on this because you guys are about to enter the real world, and everybody says, this may be soft, fuzzy stuff, but we've really built our company around this. So this is our mission statement: to make a difference in the lives of our employees. When we return, we'll make the difference for our clients. That doesn't mean I'm perfect or my other business partner is perfect, but we really put a lot of emphasis on treating our employees correctly and try to be fair all the time. And we've established, SurvTech on these core principles. Again, people may say this is fuzzy, but it's so important to me. I like to talk about it. I want my people to be educated and trained. And so we put a lot of effort in education and training. You're about to see we have a huge commitment to technology, maybe one of the best in the industry. The integrity of our company, we don't always do things right. And when we don't, we want to own our issues and fix them. So we want to have integrity. The caliber of our work, we want to known to be as one of the best surveying and mapping companies out there. And then really we have a passion for knowledge. We're always learning. We're always trying to find new technologies and so forth. And then obviously it's very important that your clients, your employees, your vendors, and the community, that you better all of those individuals and all those sectors of the market, because that's why we're here. So we've grown from 2 people to right around 100 people. I think we have 97 or 8 right now. And we have offices throughout Florida. You can see them there. I'm not going to list them all. And then we have offices in Decatur, which is where our aerial mapping is performed. Carlos is in Mobile. And then New Orleans, we have a small office there. We are still a small business with the federal government, even though we do have 95 employees. And we have a great safety rating. At this point, we have a real commitment to safety. We have a full-time safety manager. We've had the safety manager for some time. We want our employees to be safe. A little bit about me, you don't need it all, but I've really pushed to be a leader in the surveying profession. I'm licensed in 11 states. I didn't update that top line, but I passed Arkansas, which is a tough test, by the way, one of the tougher ones I've taken last year. I'm also a CFED, Certified Federal Surveyor, and a Certified Floodplain Surveyor. And then we have a Certified Photogrammetrist on staff, and we even have a professional geologist on staff. I always get a kick out of that. So at one point, we were a licensed geology firm, which I never thought that would be, but we had to get licensed. They've done away with the license and since, but at one time we were a licensed geology firm. All right, that's kind of our coverage where I'm licensed. I need to add Arkansas to that map, and then we've picked up Colorado and Maine. I didn't get licensed in Maine, but one of the other employees here did. And I've touched on this, so I'm going to probably run over it pretty quick, and get into kind of some of the cool stuff we're doing, because I've talked enough about words, but this is kind of all the different market segments that we're touching on. I mean, we're complete as they get. I don't know of another firm out there that does all these things. Land surveying, subsurface utility designation, aerial imagery from both aircrafts, airplanes, and drones, mobile LiDAR from everything you can imagine, indoor and outdoor, terrestrial LiDAR from tripods, and then, hydrographic survey and geophysical mapping and metrology. So if you can find a company that does all those things, there's a few of us out there, but we're pretty rare in the industry. I think most of you know what surveying is. I can't think of a type of survey we don't do. We don't do a lot of DOT work in Florida. We don't do mortgage surveys on residential homes, but pretty much everything else we do. And we do work for the DOT in Florida, but it's usually on the aerial mapping side or the hydrographic surveying side. So this is a picture of us at a mining site. Obviously, it's not in the mine, it's in the wetland, and we're doing some wetland tree location. We do a lot of that. More on surveying. I mean, I'll tell you, I'm as old school blended with new school as they get. I still believe in field notes, yet I still believe in I push on the latest technology, because I think sometimes a lot of the old school procedures get lost along with, the new technology. And I don't think it should be that way. I think we need to have both. And so I would be the first one to tell you that you need to have both those things to be successful. All right, so we'll get a little bit into the multi-beam. This is some of the hydrographic surveying we do, and this touch on everything we do. So we do every type of bathymetric survey you can imagine. Bathymetry, single beam surveys with dual frequency, without dual frequency, multi-beam surveys, which is what you're looking at in the image there, side scan surveys, magnetometer surveys, interferometric surveys, sub-bottom profiling, pre and post dredge, doing volume calculations, habitat mapping, debris surveys, bridge routing and inspection, quarry. We do a lot of quarry work. We do a lot in the mining industry, and then a lot of sediment information. So one of our more innovative vehicles, we've built this ourselves. This is actually a amphibious vehicle. We've added the steering, the outboard motor to it. We do single beam from it. So the individual can drive that right into a core or something else, you know, and obviously you can see the flotation on the side of it. And so it has all your motion, IMUs, sounder, and then you can obviously drive it like a boat. And we took a Max, which is, and combined that and had that fabricated. We have unmanned survey vessels. You're looking at a couple of them here. One is a simple Z boat from Teledyne, remote control boat, basically. It can drive around, do single beam surveys. On the right, you're seeing a multi-beam survey boat that we built ourselves. You might not believe that, but that's nothing more than a children's kayak. And then it's equipped with a Norbit multi-beam sonar sensor and an Planix IMU and GPS. And so we can do multi-beam from that remote control vessel there. And that was really innovative. At the time, they wanted to sell these for about 300 grand, and I think we built that for about 12 grand, not including the sonar. We already had the sonar, but the boat itself, we built in-house for 12 grand. It's got a full PC on it. In one of those cases is a PC and with a lot of memory, a lot of horsepower, and so that was built in-house. Some examples of multi-beam data. A lot of people don't see multi-beam data. They usually see LiDAR data. Multi-beam data is very, very similar. You can see the level of detail on this multi-beam data. I mean, it's way better than single beam. If you were going to do single beam here, you wouldn't pick up all that scouring next to the bank, more than likely. You wouldn't see that. We do this a lot on utility investigation. If there's a pipeline exposed, well, if it's a gas pipeline, they don't want it exposed, because if a boat hits it with an anchor or drags it, you could have a catastrophic accident. Some more multi-beam data. You can obviously see the seawall detail. Our multi-beam can be tilted electronically, so we can pick up items to the side of us in the water column, which is what we probably did with that seawall there. So we can actually get some pretty high detail of the seawall, and then you can obviously see the natural ground around it. So, and this is pretty innovative. So we actually did some scanning from our one-man survey vessel. You see the canal there. We picked up the power lines next to this because we were going to have to map like 26 miles of power lines. And we just said, let's just do it from our boat, put it in the water and did it. The other one is the Gasparilla pirate ship that sits in the bay, in Tampa Bay in the harbor. And that was actually mapped when we were doing a multi-beam survey. And it was actually about 3 feet of wave that day in our one-man boat. So the IMU really did its job there. You can see that. All right, so on to the below ground here. We went underwater for a minute, and here is probably one of the tougher jobs at SurvTech is subsurface utility. They have to deal with ground penetrating radar, electromagnetic induction, electroresistivity, and there's a lot of digging, whether it's vacuum excavation, hand digging. So there is manual labor here. And some people like that and some people don't. So, I mean, if you want to dig holes all day, Sue is the job for you if you don't, but you use a lot of cool technology as well. So you can excavate utilities without damaging the pipes using vacuum excavation. On to the really cool stuff. So LiDAR from drones. We've been flying LiDAR from drones for probably, geez, I'm trying to think. Our first LiDAR drone was probably 2016. So we're going on 5 or 6 years now. That's actually a LiDAR USA drone, which is made right up in Huntsville. And that's on well, the sensor is, and the drone itself is the DJI 600. And so that was a workhorse. That thing has flown hundreds of missions. I mean, hundreds, maybe thousands. It's flown a lot for the past 6 years, and it's still running. And we do put the sensor on different drones now because the DJI 600 is getting phased out, but we still use the DJI 600 as well. So looking at some LiDAR data, the drone at the top is kind of one of our more innovative drones, and we've kind of been a leader here. I think we were one of the first people to buy one of these. And I got a better picture in a couple slides, but it's actually a hybrid drone. So it's actually a 2-stroke gas engine that powers a generator, which charges the battery real time. So that means instead of having a UAV that can stay up for 18 minutes, we can fly LiDAR continuously for about 90 minutes straight. It does sound like a flying weed whacker, and it will scare agriculture, so you have to kind of be careful with it, but it's very innovative. And I don't know if you guys do any LiDAR processing in school, but if you do, being able to fly 1 mission instead of 5 missions is a big savings because you don't have to do a separate calibration on every single mission. You have 1 calibration because it's 1 mission. So That hybrid drone can fly, geez, I want to say probably close to 250 acres of flight. So we fly sites as big as 2,000 acres with the drone, which is, a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people put a plane in the air. And that's side by side. So the top one, you're looking at the first drone we bought, the 600, DJI 600 with the LiDAR sensor on it. The one down below is our Harris hybrid. It has the two-stroke engine to the right, and it has a Regal Vux sensor on it, which is a big sensor. And that sucker can really paint the ground. So we're getting upwards of 200 points per square meter with that Vux, with that Regal Vux. So, we have a waiver to fly at night. We can capture LiDAR at night. And we can put all kinds of different camera configurations on this as well. It's pretty innovative. Side by side, so you can kind of see the scale. The Harris hybrid's a big drone. We now have a Harris HX8, which is also a big drone. But if you know what a DJI 600 is, it's not a small drone, but the Harris dwarfs it. It's much bigger. I believe this is a video. Let's see if it'll play for you. But this is the Harris hybrid flying. You can see how stable it is collecting LiDAR. If you look off back in the background, that's actually mined property. Look at how the terrain is water and open cuts and hills. That would take us years to survey with RTK GPS or ground surveying. So that drone saves us an immense amount of time painting all the upland. And then we do bathymetric surveys on some of those pits as well. All right, so we also do a lot of infrared imagery from our drones. We have a DJI 300, which I'll show you in a little bit. We also have a vertical takeoff drone, which also carries infrared. But you can obviously see different things like the AC equipment on the roof, different colors. You can see a person standing in the background in the upper right. He's lit up. You can see the engine and the Jeep on the lower left. It's lit up from where it had been run recently, and obviously the building. So this is not just surveying anymore. You can inspect all kinds of things, which I'm going to show you some videos of this and coming up. This is actually a combination of multi-beam sonar underwater in that quarry and UAV LiDAR. There was no boots on the ground for this. This was all autonomous vehicles. So you can see how seamless it goes from the multi-beam data to the upland LiDAR data. It's really innovative. The client loved this. They were going to extend a road through the middle of this, so they had to fill it. They wanted accurate volumes. And so it's impressive what you can do without any people actually surveying anymore. It's amazing. I always usually ask if anybody recognizes this, even though it's right on the screen. A few years ago, the Oroville Dam in California burst. And it made a huge mess with the spillway and so forth. You can see the picture on the right. We were hired to fly out to California and map this with our UAV LiDAR drone because it had some power lines that went over the top, and it was a very steep incline this spillway was. The pilot had to fly it manually without a flight plan. He had to keep adjusting to keep the same distance above ground because we were capturing LiDAR. And then we had to turn the data over on site that same day. So within 24 hours, we were in California after that phone call mapping that site. Now, we didn't do the imagery. That's just a picture from the internet. And they were very concerned with data. So they wouldn't even let us take imagery when we were up. They didn't want us taking pictures. We just were hired to do LiDAR, and that's what we did. So the LiDAR is on the left. Another example, and we do a lot of this. This is aerial LiDAR from a drone, from a UAV, and it's multi-beam data from our boat. This was actually our 25-foot boat. And I want to say this was up, geez, I want to say Kansas maybe, but it was up north somewhere, Missouri maybe. And we were actually working for a big engineering company up there. And you can see the level of detail of the multi-beam and the level of detail the drone gave us. The only thing we could have done, and they didn't want to pay for this, but we could have done LiDAR from the boat, mobile LiDAR from the boat, and then maybe mobile LiDAR from a truck or something on the bridge. But this is just UAV and multi-beam data. And if we can, that's an intensity value cloud. Next, we'll look at colorized, more of a colorized type situation, black and white, showing you another look at it. And obviously you can see the bridge column. A lot of people are going to think that's LiDAR. I think that's probably actually underwater multi-beam data. It was subaqueous. Now I could be wrong. The drone might have picked that up from LiDAR, but I'd have to check on it. I don't know. I'd have to talk to the guys that did the processing on this. But that's how close multi-beam and LiDAR looks. From an image like this, I can't even tell you. The whole corridor we flew with LiDAR, as you can see, the level of detail. Now, this is before my guys clean the trees off it and all the vegetation and make a bare earth surface. It looks really cool, but from a survey standpoint, it's meaningless to me, because how often does someone want to know the tops of the trees? They don't. They want to know what the bare earth ground surface is. So, and that's what we did on this. At a later point, that would be stripped off. This is one of the more cool things we've bought recently. I mean, we probably have one of the best fleets of drones at least in the Southeast. This is our vertical takeoff Wingtra drone. I'm going to show you this thing take off. It's pretty innovative here in a minute. It's got PPK, post-processed kinematic GPS positioning, and it has a whole payload of cameras. And cameras is not my expertise. That's Carlos. So if you have any questions about cameras, Carlos can tell you this. But I know it has a direct looking down Sony IGV camera. It can do oblique imagery from the side. It can do multi-spectral, so you can look at vegetation health and things like that. I mean, and it flies for at least 60 minutes, so it's very innovative. Let's see. I think I have a video of it. And this may take a second, but it's pretty cool when it does take off. Let's see if it'll play. So this is the vertical takeoff and landing. So this is how it takes off and lands. It's going to take a second. A little bit of build up here for you guys. Not too exciting at this point, right? But it's going to shoot off here in a minute. So. Yeah, you hear my pilot talking. There it goes.
You can see them.
So off into the sunset. So basically, it takes off like that and lands like that. And we've done a lot of technology. We used to have a drone that a fixed wing, and we would throw it, and then we'd have to land it. And the problem with throwing something or landing something like that, there's a lot of crashing that goes on. And so it's pretty hard on your drone. It's pretty hard on your sensors that are in the payload. So this has been phenomenal for us. Carlos does a lot of imagery with this, and all those different camera payloads is really pretty awesome. So some imagery from a drone, you can obviously see the level of detail. And this was done with a pretty inexpensive drone. I think we have 4 or 5 Phantom 4s kicking around, as well as our expensive drones. But you can see what a Phantom 4 with just a 20 megapixel camera flying at 400 feet can do. This is an ortho image down by Miami. And if you look at the level of detail on the rocks, the target, it's pretty impressive what you can do with an inexpensive camera. I will say that. And when I talk to other companies about starting a drone program, I tell them to start very inexpensively, because you will crash drones. We've crashed, not every drone. We haven't crashed a $300,000 hybrid yet, but knock on wood. But drones do not always fly the way they're supposed to. So you have to, safety is paramount with them. So here you're looking at a colorized point cloud from imagery. I believe this was taken with the Wingtra. I'm almost positive. And so you can see the area of coverage on this. We generated a 3D point cloud because there's a big contest right now between generating point cloud with imagery and generating point cloud with LiDAR. And they both have good and bad. I mean, the imagery generates a great point cloud, but sometimes it just, the accuracy isn't there, or you get shadowed areas and you just can't see the data. Just another perspective of it. I don't know, but that might have, no, that one wasn't a, yeah, this one's a video. So you can kind of see, you can take and look at any of your site from any different position. I mean, the amount of things, I started surveying in '93, and we didn't have nothing like this. It really was the second oldest profession at that time, because it was pretty boring. So the latest thing with us was kinematic GPS was just coming out. Not even RTK, not real time, kinematic, where you had to maintain lock. You couldn't lose lock from the satellites or you lost all your data. So what we got now is a lot better.
David, and obviously, you know, all of this stuff, it looks pretty cool, but you know, the ability to make reliable measurements out of this data sets is just astonishing. How the technology has been you know, advancing lately. Fairly inexpensive drones following proper procedures, can yield really accurate data.
That's exactly right. What you're looking at here is a warehouse, and we actually flew the sides of it with a Phantom 4, again, a very inexpensive drone. And then we used the Wingtra to build the site and the tops of the buildings. And you can kind of see how we joined the point cloud together here to make one uniform point cloud. You can see it picked up details like the AC unit, the power line coming in, the light pole. There's a little trailer out back, the trees, the vegetation. So pretty cool. And you can combine data from two different cameras. This is that same warehouse. You can obviously see the trailer and so forth. You see the vehicle. This is a colorized point cloud. This is not an image. It's actually the point cloud colorized. Again, another look at the site. And this is with another colorized point cloud. Without the image draped, you can hide a lot of data in the LiDAR if you drape the image on top of it too. So this is kind of, you're seeing just the bare points. You're seeing the power line come across, and that's actually the points generated. But still, it's pretty darn good. That's for a low-end camera and from a Wingtra drone flying high overhead, that's really darn good. So this is in the 3D world now. So this is a point cloud generated from imagery. So we not only do a lot of LiDAR, we can do this all with imagery. And you might see Big Ugly Boat. I think I just went past it, but we have a big hydrographic boat there that they call the Big Ugly Boat. They call it Bub. So, and we have an airboat as well under the top. So we have just about every piece of equipment you can imagine. We also have a DJI 300, which is obviously a copter. It has a laser rangefinder, so it won't run into anything. It avoids things, object avoidance. And it's got a built-in 20 megapixel RGB and an infrared camera. So this thing does some pretty cool stuff because you can do forward-looking imagery and video and so forth. And I think I can show you this. So if you're doing inspection, like if you're inspecting the inside of this warehouse, I believe this was a video. Oh, maybe not. Let's see. Oh, it's not gonna play on me. I'm gonna be upset.
It looks like a still image, huh?
Yeah, but watch it. So you can inspect, you can take imagery of the warehouse, and then you can zoom in on any quadrant, and you can do this real time in the field, right while you're doing it, or you can do it back in the office. So if we fly this for an engineer, we can hand it over. He can look at the quadrants just like this. So it's for doing inspection. And I'll tell you, you guys are from Alabama, so you'll relate to this. But somebody's been shooting the building with a lot of buckshot because it's got a lot of down holes in it. But I'm from Maine, so I can relate to that as well. But yeah, so it's pretty innovative. It's not really surveying, but it's a lot of inspection work. I think we were in a warehouse previously this week doing some inspection work where they hold a lot of phosphate. And so
on the inspection with this particular drone, you can, if you're doing repetitive surveys, you can store the position of the drone, and then you can have it fly to the same position every time. Like if you're inspecting a tower or any other utility structure, it'll know where to go and from what position the image or the scan was taking, so you can do repetitive surveys and do comparisons over time. We may have lost David here. All right, let me make sure he's still on here. All right, so this may be a good time to get another slice of pizza then. Yeah, we'll just give him another minute or so he can dial in.
Can you give us an idea about the company? How many licensed surveyors?
So we have, I believe we have 10 licensed surveyors. Most of them are licensed in Florida. And then David is licensed in 11 states now. We have a Maine licensed surveyor and a Colorado licensed surveyor. and we're always looking to expand our footprint. Obviously, we're strong in the Southeast, but with our airborne assets, we do work, throughout the continental U.S. and abroad. So, we're always looking to expand our PLS footprint, by either encouraging our own surveyors to take other states, or by hiring new surveyors. Most of the Florida PSMs that we have have acquired their license while they're working at SurvTech. So that's just to show you some of the our commitment to higher education and to the licensing procedure. We're always very mindful of the of the licensing stipulations and the licensing restrictions. We uh, every work that we do, um, we're always mindful of the surveyor that is gonna sign off. So we have procedures in place during the planning, acquisition, and processing, to make sure that the accuracies are met, and that in the end, the product is going to meet the specifications that are called for in the scope of work. Um, so David may not be dialing back in.
Can you give us an idea about the co-op opportunities?
Yeah, so we have, like David said, we have grown to just under 100 employees now. We Right now we have more work than we can handle. So if you're interested in joining SurvTech, we're happy to have an interview with you. We can put you in touch with our HR department and let you know of what are the opportunities. We do have from time to time students that come in and they can do work before they graduate and so forth. We just had a lady from Gulfport, Mississippi, who was doing an internship, doing a lot of bathymetric work. So that does happen. It can be arranged as well.
What kind of employment package y'all usually offer? Like,
So obviously, whether you're a salary or hourly employee, that's negotiated. But we do offer a 401k and obviously, medical and vision and eye, um, insurance, all of that is covered. For the insurance, if you're the company pays for the individual, and so if you're a single person, the company will cover you. If you have dependents, if you're married and children, then the company will pay for yourself, and then you'll have to pay for additional members at a discounted rate, of course. I mean, we have a group insurance that handles that. Any other questions?
what brand equipment do y'all use? Like telescope, GPS?
So we use we have a lot of Carlson products, but we also use Trimble. We have the Trimble 10s and the Trimble 12s, which are the latest generation. Um, on total stations, we have just traditional total station. We have a couple of robotic total stations, and on the scanning end, we have a couple of static scanners. We have the Leica RTC 360, I believe. And then we have a couple of trackers. Um, David mentioned metrology, and that's, the ability to measure within, 10,000 of an inch. So these instruments, we have two of these instruments as well. Um, on the airborne side, we have a high altitude LiDAR sensor that is mounted on the airplane, and it has an integrated RGB camera, so you can do concurrent collection of LiDAR and RGB imagery at the same time. This is particularly interesting for uh, uh, DOT work or utility corridors where you want to get the elevation data from the LiDAR, and at the same time you want to get either planimetrics or any other features from the RGB layer. Um, on bathymetry, David talked about a few of the boats. We have a multi-beam Norbit system is the IWBMS, and it has an integrated IMU, inertial navigation unit, um, to compensate, for movement. The airplanes also have IMU systems. The drones have IMU systems, which is pretty typical, to be able to process your LiDAR data. On the image side, the WingTra, we rely on the WingTra quite a bit for, smaller sites. And then if we need, larger sites, obviously, we have the airplane that is soon to be based out of Huntsville, just north of you guys. So, any other questions I can help answer? If there's further interest in SurvTech, the presentation, I can make our contact information available to Dr. Ron and we can discuss any further possibilities. I know all of you guys are graduating, and I think this is an exciting time to be in surveying. In many countries, including the U.S., the surveying profession, has a pretty high standard. Some of our original, the founding fathers, presidents have been surveyors. It is now becoming extremely important, where in this new age where everything now is geo-referenced or geolocated. Um, and the way the technology is going, vehicles, driverless vehicles and airplanes and things like that, they all have a common thread where you need accurate, mapping data to be able to function. So I think you guys are in the right field, and I hope you are, excited to be pretty close to graduating now, and hopefully you continue on that excitement.
All right, any more questions? I agree with you, Carlos. Certainly, these students and soon to be graduates, they recognize the need and for people in this area and how they are so precious and of high demand that they're going to have multiple job offers. So, having said that much, Carlos, I want to thank you and Brian for presenting virtually. And as I said, coming back here, we want to see you face to face next semester and more times to come. But at the same time, thank you for the time that you have taken to present to us. And do give my regards to Brian, telling me he was very, very good, except his computer. Thank you very much. And I will make your information available to the students who are interested in doing the co-op opportunities and any job offers that you might have. We will send that information to them. They have the information. All right.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Arup, yeah, we appreciate the opportunity to address this these young students. We wish them the best, and we will remain in touch with you and your program.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.